Following podcast contains spoilers and some pretty nasty language.
We watch a thing. We watch a thing.
Hello everybody and welcome to We Watched a Thing with Billy and Dave. How you doing, mate?
I'm better than you, sick boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, crook again.
Sorry if I'm lacking my regular gusto. I know that I usually bring such a high level of energy to the show, but I have been on my deathbed since last Wednesday with the COVID, so we are recording late, but that's okay. We're doing what we do. We're doing what we say on the tin. We watched a thing, mate.
We did. We watched a thing.
Yeah, because luckily I got to the movies about 5 hours before I started getting symptoms. I saw this on Wednesday, and then Wednesday night I'm like, wow, my throat feels a bit sore. So let's get straight into it then. Saltburn is a 2023 black comedy psychological thriller film written, directed, and produced by Emerald Fennel. We fucking love Emerald Fennel here at We Watched a Thing. It stars Barry Cogan, speaking of people we love, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Alison Oliver, Archie Madekwe, and Carey Mulligan. And what is it about, Dave?
It's about a poor fella from the wrong side of the tracks who manages to finagle his way into the good graces of a very well-to-do family of friend of his. He's a student at Oxford, and gets sort of invited to spend the holidays out at the rather luxurious family home.
Yeah.
And yeah, a comedy of manners ensues.
Yeah. I'm really curious to talk about this one. You saw this one before I did, and I think originally you were just going to do like a quick spoiler-free review on the show, and then you were like, no, we got to talk about this one. And I'm glad I was going to see it anyway, so I'm glad that we did. So let's get straight into it. Like we said, we both love Emerald Fennel, massive fans of Promising Young Woman. I went into this with very high expectations, possibly too high. I just want to temper things there a little. I loved this movie, but maybe not quite as much as I was expecting to. But I think my expectations were just far too high. Like, this is still a very, very strong movie. It's a hell of a lot funnier than I was expecting it to be.
I was in hysterics.
It's an interesting movie because I wouldn't call it a black comedy. I don't think that the story really is funny or is even probably supposed to be funny. I feel like the story is quite a straight drama thriller, but the characters are so outrageous and the dialogue is so hilarious that's where the humor is.
The dialogue is intense. I mean,
the dialogue is intentionally funny, but
particularly Richard E. Grant and Rosamund Pike.
Oh, she steals the show.
Hilarious.
She's
deliberately, it's not incidental. They're meant to be funny.
Give her all of the awards, honestly.
Yes. Oh my god, she was so funny in this. Her delivery of almost every line is phenomenal.
I was a lesbian once.
I just can't abide ugliness. Never have been able to.
I was a lesbian once, but it was just all terribly wet. Men are so lovely and dry. Like, just everything she says just cracked me up. She absolutely killed it. Give her all of the awards. I think what I'm saying, when I think of a black comedy, I think of something where the situations themselves, while dark, are comedic. And I don't think that actually happens once in this film. I think that all of the dark and tragic moments in the story are played very dark and tragic.
At its lightest, the scenes are mildly unsettling and uncomfortable.
Yes.
But there are multiple instances of just deeply disturbing situations. There are multiple what the fuck moments in this movie that you wouldn't believe them if you read them on paper. That's going to be in a mainstream movie. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. I think the movie is written and directed tremendously. Emerald Fennel absolutely crushes it again. The cinematography in the film is gorgeous. The set design, the props, the costuming, everything. The choice to film and present this movie in Academy aspect in 4:3.
What you thought of that?
I love it.
I liked it. a lot, and I think a lot of this is deliberate based on what little I've heard her say in interviews about this film. Um, there are a lot of parallels. I mean, for you can draw similarities to Talented Mr. Ripley, but I think I mentioned that.
I've heard that. Yeah, it's
at
for
a
me
superficial level in terms of the story, but the deeper comparisons to me go all the way back to the Ealing comedies, and in particular, I don't know if you've ever seen Kind Hearts and Coronets.
No.
Where it concerns a poor, distant relative of a very wealthy, noble family in England who slowly kills his way through the family until he is the heir and heir apparent, but is then arrested and and even the font choices on the title cards are an allusion to that. And I think that's why the aspect ratio is the way it is as an additional sort of throwback to those very dark, sometimes comedies that Kind Hearts and Coronets, they all had fucking Alec Guinness, but Kind Hearts and Coronets is famous because Alec Guinness plays every member of the family.
Yeah, right.
Not the young guy, but everyone he kills, whether they're male, female, young, old, it's all Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
And it kind of unfortunate that I'd heard her make that. Well, she didn't overtly make that reference, but and I think it was Ali Plum on the BBC said, even the font of the title cards drew an allusion to a certain one of those Ealing comedies, and I just went, oh fuck, now I know which one it is. So I went into it knowing, because the first half of this film doesn't really hint at the second half. The first half, it's sort of,
I think the movie
guy that you feel uncomfortable for him, and
it does
sadly, I was waiting for the turn because of those illusions.
I think it does a really interesting job of playing with its characters. Like Barry Cogan's character is, particularly in the first half, like you said, very sympathetic. And you know that there's something kind of creepy and weird about him, but you don't know to what extent. You know, like obviously we're going to get into spoilers on the show and stuff. I was actually surprised by some of the twists and turns the film takes, even simple little ones. I didn't see it coming that he was lying about his parents. I never once suspected that was a lie. And then when it came up, it was like, oh, wow, that's
and such a lie as well.
Brilliant.
Like even on the drive out when he's getting increasingly uncomfortable, I thought, it's not going to be, they're going to be alive, or he will have told but I didn't expect it to be this almost idyllic home.
Yeah.
Like it's not that they're just assholes or they're not as poor as he said, or it's not even a little bit. It's complete fabrication. They're perfectly lovely people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's the asshole.
Yeah. The movie does a really interesting job playing with its characters in that way, and the way that it slowly builds and reveals their inner workings to us, particularly Barry Cogan, who, it's interesting that he's our and protagonist in this film. And yet,
even
halfway through the film, yes, we're still learning things and seeing what is actually happening in his mind. I think that's a really smart and interesting choice. Back to the aspect ratio, not only I think does it call back to things, I think it works just from a cinematography standpoint as well. We often talk about, particularly when we see really, really widescreen films, and about what that does to the cinematography when you're looking at landscapes. But very rarely do we talk about the opposite, and I'd like to for a minute. I think that the aspect ratio here
focuses your attention in.
Exactly, and it makes everything feel a lot more claustrophobic, which is an interesting choice when you're dealing with this vast, grand set. Like this is meant to be this huge mansion, and instead of seeing all of this wide stuff around, we're looking at a very limited view, and it really works for me.
It turns it into a play almost, because everything is one set. And
yes, that's totally true. It erases
the sense of space around it, and you're just focusing in whether they're, on one of the outdoor settings in their picnics, or in the even when they're big rooms, you're sort of only seeing the dining table, or you're only seeing the bath. And it draws the focus in a lot tighter.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant choice by Emerald Fennel. I think that this movie is one of the best looking films of the year, and it's ironically not one that you would think that off the top of your head when you're watching it. It's not a showy film at all, but the cinematography and the editing just really works to serve the story. I think it's so nicely put together.
Yeah. And it really does showcase what a beautiful part of the world Oxford is as well.
Oh yeah.
Both the when they're sort of on campus and at the university, and then obviously the home, which is stunning. It's all just so English and so beautiful, and it made me want to be there, having a pint by the river, having a punt along the water.
Yeah.
I really liked the tack that she took with the character of Felix as well. Obviously,
who is a gorgeous man. I just need to
Jacob a lot, yeah,
and not just gorgeous. I mean, the entire cast is fantastic, but he had a really tricky role to play, being both, I guess, this, in some sense, smarmy rich kid, and you never really know what's going on with him either.
Larger than life object of affection, who is just effortlessly gorgeous, intelligent, well dressed, all with seemingly without trying. But the choice to have him be a just ridiculously, genuinely lovely person.
Yeah,
he's not a dumb rich kid.
That's right.
Not up himself. He's not arrogant. He's not Jude Law from talented Mr. Ripley. He's not. He is down to earth. He has no. He genuinely doesn't care that Ollie is poor. He doesn't care. He just wants to look after him, be a nice guy. In most cases, this character would be a lot more of a rich kid.
Yes.
But having him be just really nice, I think, was
that's right.
A very good turn.
In a lesser film, the majority of the comedy would have come from that character being either a smug prick or being the stupid, foolish rich guy. But it doesn't. He is probably played as the most straight character in the film. Both him and Ollie, and it's everything around them that brings that huge sense of comedy.
Almost all of that sort of elitist wanker side that you would expect, if we were back in the sort of late 80s, James Spader would be playing that character, and he'd be a lot more upper crust. All of that wankerness was sort of taken away and given to Archie Badecky's character.
Yeah.
Who's a complete twat. And he's the hateable one. And then all of us, we sort of have this weird situation where for at least the first half, and even in the second half, even when you know that you shouldn't, your sympathies are still kind of with Barry Keoghan.
Yeah.
But really, the hero of the movie should be Jacob Elordi's character, because he's the nice guy. Yeah.
But that's why I love the way that this movie gradually just lets things happen. And it's quite a short movie. It's not long, but I think the pacing is perfection. But you're right. The way that, that guy is such a prick and such a dick. It's really clever then that he's the first guy that Barry Keoghan kind of fucks over, because by that point you are still on his side, and it's a really clever turn then when he just starts doing things that are completely off the rails.
The weird thing as well is the first couple of times when, as we later find out, Ollie's starting to manipulate things.
Yeah.
I was in two minds. I was like, I don't think he actually did fuck over, what was his name? Farley.
Yeah.
With the email or whatever. How could he have done that? That's just, it just seemed like a karma's coming down on the asshole.
Yeah.
And the again, when the kind of Rosamund Pike's friend, the kind of hippie woman, who dies, also gets rid of it, and who dies. So you're sort of thinking, did he orchestrate that? Because I wouldn't put anything past him. By the time you get, I mean, Barry Keoghan's performance in this is about the bravest I've seen an actor be in
Oh,
anything.
It's
like
simultaneously hilarious and tragic. That the beautiful shot of him humping the dirt is one of the, like, honestly, you could frame that on a wall. I love the composition of that shot, and it's both hilarious and horrific and tragic all at once.
I can't think of a more delicate way to put it, but when he's the way they film the scene where he's slurping the jizz water out of the bath.
Oh my god, that was yeah.
I mean,
and again, it's tragic and
not many
funny
actors would
all
have
at
even
once.
agreed to do
Oh,
this.
No,
And
no.
in terms of, well put together, and harking back to the One Hit Wonders episode,
Yeah,
but the dance sequence at the end,
the needle drops in this film are great.
as far as brave acting goes.
yeah.
It's like,
Just
hey, Barry.
flopping schlong to Murder in the Dance Floor.
Flopping around all over the joint.
He's gone full trunk. The I love the way though that his character is. I've used this phrase a lot, but the way it's presented to us and the way that we learn things, but the way that his character is clearly much smarter and much more manipulative than at first you even think. Like you think that he comes across as not only like poor and stuff, but very socially inept. But you slowly realize that he's actually very good at manipulating people. Like the way that he gets Rosamund Pike on his side, and even the sister V, when there is that, the scene with the period blood.
Yes.
But what he's really doing there is like,
he's Charles Manson level.
He knows,
charisma and manipulative.
Yeah, he knows what she wants from him and what she needs from him to get that level of control over her, and it's insanely brilliant. Like he's just absolutely nuts.
And it's done. You're right. It's the pacing. The pacing is so good because every time you think, "Oh my God, they've lifted the lid. Now we see who he really is." Yeah. No. There's like 4 more levels to come of what an utter sociopath he is until the final one with Rosamund Pike in the bed with the breathing tube thing, which it's like...
Can I ask you about the ending? Like, because it's a tricky one. It's by no means a happy ending. It works out for our protagonist though. Like, where were you on the ending? What kind of feelings did the end of this film leave you with?
Well, I think that's what's so clever about it. You're actually, or maybe it's just me and I'm a sociopath too. Yeah, I was left almost with feelings of satisfaction.
Well, you
which is
are
how manipulative this movie is.
Yeah, because in terms of the narrative structure of the film, yes, it's a classic. Everything is resolved from the point of the narrative, so you are left with kind of a feeling of completeness.
It's a Usual Suspects ending where you're left going, "Oh my God!" and you can't help but kind of respect the realization of what a admittedly twisted, but what a genius this guy's been, and he's been the one pulling the strings the whole way through. Even the very earliest scenes when you were so sympathetic, when he manipulated Jacob Elordi into giving him money when he couldn't, out of sympathy, when he couldn't pay for drinks, and then you realize, oh my God, you even had money then.
I know
you were pulling strings then.
I was the same. That was the big one that was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And to be honest, I don't know how much we needed that flashback, other than, like you say, I do think it's very interesting to realize how early all this manipulation started. Like, I
think that's the difference between him getting out to the house, and realizing I don't want to leave here, and then doing what he has to do to stay, compared to no, he even got himself invited there. The entire thing was a ploy from start to finish. He never was. Harking back, I'm sure you've seen Primal Fear, Ed Norton's first film. Harking, it's that realization. Oh, there never was the good guy. It's always been the bad guy. They weren't both there. And the good guy was a complete fiction from the outset.
That was
a anvil dropping.
Yeah. I know that we have spoken about her previously, but I would just feel really remiss if we let this episode end without once again Rosamund Pike. She needs to win an award for this film because it's very easy to look at what she's doing and say, well, she's the comic relief. It's not a complex role. But by the end of the film, that 100% is not true. Like, she is doing a lot of lifting in this film, and she fucking smashes it. This is my favorite Rosamund Pike performance by a country mile. And I like Rosamund Pike.
She needs a best supporting for this, for sure.
It's absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Like,
and in fact,
crushes
I think it's possibly the best acting I've seen Richard E. Grant do. Certainly.
He's fantastic.
Years.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole family, after Felix dies,
yes,
that dinner scene, the way each character deals with it,
yes,
including, and we haven't mentioned him yet, but Paul Reese, who plays the butler, who I've liked for many years. It took me a moment to recognize him because he's aged so much since last time I saw him in something.
Yeah,
I remember him in sort of TV dramas and mysteries back when he was, early 20s. This tall Jarvis Cocker looking handsome British bloke, and but he I think was fabulous the whole way through as well.
Yeah,
and the sort of restrained emotion, but he was obviously very protective of the family.
Yeah.
And the awkward scenes where he's like, I'm trying to close the drapes and I can't, and Richard E. Grant slowly loses his temper. It's like, just amazingly put together scenes.
Yeah. I mean, spoilers for, to be honest, only a couple of weeks because we're not that far off, but I can tell you already that this is going to be in my top 5 of the year.
Told you. If something's going to push... What was it? Fucking what horror was it? Thanksgiving that you were saying? Oh, Karen, it might not be in the top 5. It's going to be in my top 10. I reckon this is going to be better.
Thanksgiving was great. It's definitely going to stay in my top 10. We should try and get a guest on for that. Jason from Binge Movies is going to join us for our worst of the year. We should definitely look at getting someone on to do the best of with us. Leave that with us. We'll do something.
Cast something out. See who's free.
Yeah. But 100%. I loved this film. I'm scoring it it's at least a 9 out of 10. It very easily could rise to a 10 on a rewatch. But I'm a 9 at this stage. Yeah. Yep.
Lockstep. Me too. 9 out of 10.
Nice. Absolutely
at
brilliant.
the moment, I'd need to go back. I can't remember everything I've seen, but it's definitely in top 5. This could even be my best of the year. Without actively looking at everything else that I've seen this year. Yeah, because a lot of things this year have been disappointments. I thought were going to be good.
Yeah,
looking at you, Ari Aster.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we'll be on for some good stuff next week too, because we'll do a double next week. We'll get to Bottoms, which I believe you've already seen.
I have.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
I'm looking forward to that.
The trailer was very good. I went into that with high expectations.
And we're also finally on this side of the world getting to The Holdovers, which I've really been looking forward to. I'm a massive Paul Giamatti fan.
You love a Giamatti. You love a bit of Giamatti.
I do. And I like Alexander Payne as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've been keen on that since I first saw the trailers about 6 months ago. So
I haven't seen the trailer, so I'll be going in nice and cold. Which is
nice. All right. Well, that's next week. Hopefully I'll be feeling a little bit better as well. But
croaky fuck.
In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, all under the handle at WeWatchTheThing. And do not forget to join the new We Watch the Thing Facebook listener community, where it's been a lot of fun. It's been good.
And go give us some 5-star reviews.
Yeah, if you want to help, if you want to help support us, you can do that at patreon.com/WeWatchTheThing. And you can also now find us on Podbean, where the show is hosted. If you want to comment on stuff, and we'll catch you next week.
Toodle pip.